Welcome to CWS Christian Writing and Speaking. I'm your host, Jackie Wilson, and today's guest runs an investment advisory firm that provides personal CFO services to Christian professionals. He helps people plan for the future, invest their assets, and manage their taxes so they can honor God and build generational wealth. After spending over a decade in financial services, he felt God's calling to start his own firm where he focused on Christian professionals and the unique challenges they face. Although the majority of the population identifies broadly as Christian, none of the large firms that have a market presence focus on them. So he wants audiences to see the difference of looking at and managing wealth through a biblical lens and work with someone that shares their values. Let's welcome to the CWS stage, Mr. Leo Marte. Welcome.
Thanks, Jackie. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you on the audience today.
Yeah, so we got to hear your story. That's my big thing. It's a story. You felt God leading you to this life that you have now. Can you tell us more about it?
Well, yes. So as you mentioned in the intro, I had been in the business for over a decade, and I've learned a lot of lessons throughout this journey, both professionally and personally. I started in financial services first with an IT job as a software developer. And as I was going through my work in that space of the industry, I realized that I really had a passion for managing money and for helping people achieve their goals. So that was the first, let's call it the first shot at, pursuing this dream, is when I switched from an IT focused career to start learning about money management and investments. And through the following years, a series of opportunities, mentors, people in my life that believed in me and my potential, allow me to pursue opportunities of increased responsibility where I was then working directly with clients, and through my teams and having advisors even reporting to me, where we were helping people achieve their long-term goals and making a big impact in their life. As I was developing that job in that career, I started feeling like God was calling me to do something more in this space. And like any Christian in a large company environment, we don't have certain freedoms to express and talk about our faith as we want, because those large firms are focused in making inclusive environments for all clients of all faith backgrounds and all employees. And I felt like God was asking me to go down this path where I was openly and clearly serving a part of the population that he wanted me to serve. And let me tell you, it was not easy, and it certainly was not it certainly was scary for me to take a leap into starting a firm after having a successful career at a company that I believed in and that I truly valued, and I felt valued as well. But I ultimately felt like God was sending me down this path because he wanted to do something different with my skill set that benefited his kingdom. And that's when I had to take that leap of faith. And now, 2 years into this journey, after founding my own company, I look back and I can see the confirmation along the way that God was indeed truly asking me to take this leap of faith, and he opened the doors to make it happen.
Yeah. So tell people about your company.
So I run an advisory firm called Abundant Advisors. We provide comprehensive financial planning for families and individuals. We manage investments. We help people with their taxes, with their estate planning, and we cover all of the different areas of a person's financial life. I use the term personal CFO because the CFO in business is the chief financial officer, is the person in a company that has the purview of all things related to money and helps the CEO, the leader of the organization, make strategic long-term decisions. So I see myself as these families' personal CFO, helping them make long-term solid money decisions that align with their value system.
Yeah. And why is it so much important for the Christian community to get engaged in financial planning? And also, you had mentioned about looking at it through a Christian based or faith based lens.
I think the most important thing to remember is that Money is a reflection, or what we do with money is a reflection of our value system.
Mm.
And when you have somebody across the table who's helping you figure out your money situation, whether it is what to invest in, or what to do with your savings, or how to train your children to inherit assets after you are gone, all of those things are values conversations. And there are a lot of wonderful, very well equipped advisors in the market with tons of experience that will give you uh, very solid advice. But at the end of the day, people want to talk to somebody that understands what they're trying to accomplish at a deeper level. And
Mm.
that's where having a believer sitting across the desk from you gives a different perspective than just going to a large firm and someone who can be perfectly decent and very good at what they do, but they're not going to get to the same level of commitment and engagement that you have with your money and your family.
Can you tell us some of the differences that you, as a Christian wealth advisor, has, but besides your faith, what are some of the things that you look at? How are you pointing people differently?
I think one specific way is, when we get to the conversation about generational wealth, I always tell my clients and people who work with me, or people who are in any of my educational materials, that the difference between somebody who's a believer doing this job and somebody who isn't is to what end are we building the wealth? To what end are we creating wealth? And transferring values is a lot harder than transferring money. Because guess what? Tomorrow, God forbid, you can get hit by a truck and your money is going to go somewhere. The law is created in such a way that somebody is going to get your money. But transferring values is an intentional exercise. And by helping my clients think through that lens, so being able to summarize, articulate their values, being able to bring their children into the money conversation progressively as they age, so that they can have a family focused way of managing money, is a very different perspective than somebody who comes to an advisor that perhaps does not share that value system. Because I truly do believe that a wise person leaves an inheritance to their children's children. And if you're doing the right things and you're making the right decisions along the way, inevitably that is going to result in wealth creation that's going to pass to the next generation. How it passes and what long-term impact it has is up to you.
Yeah.
I encourage you to learn as much as you can and absorb a lot of educational material so that you're not spending a lot of money in an advisor when you don't really need it yet. What you need is to get your foundation in order so that you can start building up a solid structure. In my firm, for example, we have a free online course that I encourage people to go check out. And that gives you kind of like the very first survey about money across a lot of different categories. And then as people start getting excited and interested in creating their own financial plan early on, then we also have a master class that gives them a deeper dive into all of that content. And we'll include the links in the episode as people are listening to this, so that you can have quick access to it. It's not until you start really building a significant amount of wealth, or you are probably mid-career where you're starting to achieve the peak earnings that you are capable of gaining in the marketplace, that the advisor's role really plays a critical piece in your long-term success. Because then, you have the engine to create the wealth, which is your income, but then your taxes start getting complicated, your life starts getting complicated, and that's where an advisor can come in and help you organize your finances, have a strategy, have a savings plan, have an investment plan in place so that you can build wealth long term.
So, what is one of the foundational building blocks that everybody needs to know before they start journeying toward, financial wealth advisement?
The very first piece that people need to understand is, what is your relationship going to be with money?
Mm.
And that's where my content, for example, focuses so heavily on believers, because I want to make sure that you got your doctrine right about money before we even start talking about your paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to understand what is going to be your relationship with money, because that is largely going to dictate how you make financial decisions and how you make decisions, period, in your life. I mean, that's one of the most spoken about topics in the entire Bible. And there's a reason for that. It's because money is very deeply tied to our identity,
Mm.
our value system, and our decision making. So if you can get that relationship with money right, that is going to be half the battle. After that, the very first technical step that we take is helping you take control of your cash flow by understanding whether you're being paid fairly in the marketplace, making
Mm.
sure that you have a reasonable budget so that you're spending, saving, and giving, and then building up from there to move into the more complex steps of financial planning.
Yeah. And what is a myth that a lot of people believe, and that you have to bust up when it comes to advising them financially?
I think one of the biggest myths that Christians in particular believe is that it is wrong to build wealth. It is
Mm.
inherently bad to become wealthy. And depending on what denomination or background, or what type of church you grew up in, we have a lot of different perspectives about money in the
Hmm.
Christian faith. But by and large, I see people struggling to build wealth because they don't truly believe deep in their heart that building wealth is a good thing.
Mm.
And after we bust that myth and show people that no, actually, the Bible clearly speaks about the fact that wealth and wisdom are deeply tied together. There is nothing wrong with you saving and investing for the future. In the contrary, you can be a much more powerful player in God's kingdom if you get your money straight and if you
Yeah.
start doing things the right way. And once we cross that bridge in their mind, then things really start taking off.
Yeah. So, Leo, what is next for you and your company?
Well, what's next for me, personally speaking, first is, my wife and I, who live in North Carolina, have two beautiful children, are about to have our third.
Oh,
So, so that's going to be a big life change for us, of course. Every time you add a new child to the home, routines change, the dynamics change. The older siblings are going to go through their own adaptation period as well. So I'm certainly going to be there for them in that sense. And when it comes to the business, I think it's, I started this business 2 years ago. So I'm still in that phase of the business where I'm still growing. And, I'm looking forward to working with more people that God brings to me to help them manage their money, their assets. I'm also looking forward to increasing my educational offerings so that people who are not yet ready to engage with me as an advisor still have access to high quality Bible-based money education.
mhm.
And then looking into 2023, my hope is that I can continue to serve people in the way that God wants me to serve, even in ways that I may not be thinking right now that He's going to
Yeah.
bring opportunities for.
Yeah, absolutely. How can people connect with you and your company? And also tell them how they can start taking those classes that you mentioned.
So the number one place that you can get in touch with my firm is going to abundantadvisors.com. And that contains all of my work, all of my classes. It contains articles that I've written in a lot of different subjects that can help you get started with that initial foundation. Within my website, abundantadvisors.com/quick start will get you to that free course to just get your feet wet in this new area of financial planning if you're new to it. And then abundantadvisors.com/course will give you access to the master class. And, we have packages for everybody, starting at a very low accessible price, because I really do want this to be a value to people. I'm not seeking to get rich with this educational component. My firm is really the key driver of my income and my profitability is that the service that I do for clients every day. But this pursuit of creating educational content really is about helping and blessing people that need help. And the last thing I would say too is, I'm on LinkedIn. That's the main platform that I interact with. So if you search for Leo Marte, you'll find my profile, and feel free to follow me there and be able to tap into my stream of consciousness as I help people deal with money and faith and everything in between.
Thank you so much, Leo, for sharing this knowledge with our audience and just sharing your journey of faith. And I mean, we're so grateful that you decided to take that walk because you truly are blessing people. CWS audience, you heard him. Hey, if even if you're not sure that you're ready, to start this journey. At least start getting the education for it. He has free classes for you to access. So make sure you're connecting with him. And when you do feel ready for the journey, make sure you get to know him and his company even better. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. And until next time, beautiful people, God bless.